Calaroga Shark Media.
Hi, ho, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Big VP debate tonight. That's right. We'll be covering that on the Ballad podcast, by the way. Both The Daily Show and Colbert will go live after the debate. Now, what's interesting about The Daily Show is Jon Stewart's not working no Tuesday night, buddy. No, Michael Costa will do the live post-game show. Usually John shows up for those. I wonder if that is a hint as to what the future of The Daily Show actually is. After the Trump-Harris debate, Colbert doubled his audience with the 18 to 49s. Jon Stewart hosted a Tuesday episode of The Daily Show that week and got the show's highest rating since 2017. So again, very interesting that Michael Costa is hosting. All right, we got to start paying attention to Katt Williams. I know, some of us, I'll raise my hand, we're like, Katt, you're crazy. Time is starting to prove that perhaps Katt Williams, not so crazy. At a recent show, he went after Sean Diddy Combs. Katt made fun of Diddy's attorney's claim that Diddy had bought some baby oil from Costco. Williams joked, "They put the drugs in the baby oil. You think you're getting a massage, you can't even get up." He said, "That's the reason God gave me eczema. I can't even use baby oil." That got a lot of laughs. Earlier in the year, on with Shannon Sharpe, you remember that interview, Katt said, "All lies would be exposed. P. Diddy be wanting to party and you got to tell him no." Meanwhile, Marlon Wayans was on Club Shay Shay recently and said, "I've never seen or been part of nothing but good vibes and energy with clothes on. So I'm not rushing to take down old tweets or anything. I ain't got stuff to hide, period. I've been to plenty of Diddy parties. I left early, I swear to you. I've never seen it. Those aren't the type of parties I go to. I don't frequent those type of parties. And even if I go, like I said, I'd never seen any of this. When I hear about it, I'm like, when did that happen? At what time did this go down? Because I was there until 3:30. You mean at 3:32? So they waited for me to leave? Like, all right. Good that Wayans is gone. He talks too much." Wayans did admit that he has seen drugs at these parties, but was unfamiliar with the other reports. He told Shannon Sharpe, "I watch how I conduct myself, because I'm not doing this for me. I have to answer to God. I have to answer to my brothers. I have to answer to my legacy. I can't act in a certain way. I have to answer to black people. I have to answer to kids who want to be like me. It's a lot for me to answer to. I owe it to my fans to walk through this life and be an example as best as I can." Meanwhile, new topic, Wayans was on the Shaquille O'Neal podcast joking about Magic Johnson and said, "I said he had the good AIDS. I said, what AIDS do you want to get where you live 50 years? I want those AIDS. He became a billionaire with AIDS. Give me those AIDS. What kind of AIDS is this? Financial AIDS?" Sam Bee has her new podcast. She talked about Diddy and said she had a chance encounter with Diddy ages and ages ago and was not invited to one of the freak-offs. Bee recalled she was at the Democratic National Convention but can't remember which one. When Diddy walked in, Sam said, "I was grabbing whoever I could to ask them questions about what was going on, so I went up to him and said, 'Do you mind if I ask a couple questions?' And Diddy's voice was very soft." She said it was in an area where you'd expect it to be interviewed, too, so it wasn't outrageous. After the interview, B said Diddy immediately, like instantly, turned to his assistant. He held out his hands helplessly, and his attendant squirted copious amounts of Purell into his hands, and then he softly rubbed his hands together to extinguish whatever microbes I had put on his hands. The way he did it was so rude. I do understand you shake a lot of people's hands and your hands feel dirty, but you don't typically need to sanitize while the person is standing before you, expressing your disgust. It occurred to me in the light of all these freak-offs, it's always the germaphobes who want to go home and recreate Caligula every Tuesday afternoon. Let me catch up on Saturday Night Live. Let's see, before I go to my notes, just top of mind. I thought it was really good. It felt big. It felt very show busy. The open was pretty strong, but I gotta wonder if you're on the cast and your name's not Bowen Yang, and maybe Marcelo Hernandez, talk about that in a second. How are you feeling? Because yes, Dana Carvey was great, and yes, it was great to see Mac Packer, Andy Samberg, and yes, Maya Rudolph is nailing the Kamala voice. But, you know, if you're on the cast, aren't you like, hey, why has this turned into an alumni show? But I guess for the 50th year, it'll be an alumni show, and maybe season 51 will be a reset. I could see a lot of people departing. Bowen got like 9 sketches. 9 might be an exaggeration, but I felt like the whole night was Bowen Yang, and he was great as always. And Marcelo Hernandez, I'm wondering, does he do one thing, but he does it really well, where he does the one thing with an over-the-top accent? That worked really well in the Pyramid sketch. It worked really well in the I Love Lucy sketch, which I enjoyed a lot. So he's fun. I just don't know what else he can do. The Daily Beast spoke to Dana Carvey, who showed up as Joe Biden and did a very good Joe Biden. I mean, he's Dana Carvey after all. Carvey said, "It's been top secret. I kept it under wraps for weeks, but I was asked by Lorne to come on SNL to do Biden." He said he began developing his take on Biden while producing his podcast YouTube clips and said mimicking Biden is trickier. but the rhythm of the impression comes from the president's high-energy moments. The true North Star is to try and make it funny and not really get it to be a political message, per se. Bowen Yang caught some backlash from fans of Chapel Rowan. Yang wrote on Instagram, "Everything she has ever asked for has been reasonable." Bowen was dressed up as pygmy hippopotamus Moo Dang, and in character, he referenced Chapel Rowan's past comments about maintaining boundaries with intrusive fans. On Instagram, Bowen wrote, "Everything she has ever asked for has been reasonable. If my personal stance and the piece aren't absolutely clear in terms of supporting her, then there it is, I guess. Everything she's asked for has been reasonable, and even then we can connect it to another story about boundaries or whatever." In character as Moo Dang, he spoke with Colin Jost about setting some boundaries with zoo attendees. In character, he said, "When I'm in my enclosure, tripping over stuff, biting my trainer's knee, I'm at work. That's the project. Do not yell my name or expect a photo just because I'm your parasocial bestie or because you appreciate my talent." Last week, Rowan canceled her weekend performances at a festival, saying, "I feel pressures to prioritize a lot of things right now, and I need a few days to prioritize my health." Bringing this full circle, separately from all this, Bowen was recently on the Dana Carvey podcast, along with David Spade. He shared some behind-the-scenes details about when Sydney Sweeney was on last year. That was a great episode. Bowen said, "I get caught up in the meta-narrative sometimes. I'll get roped in like a headline or some pickup every now and then. I'm like, oh God, this is so unfair. This is so stressful. That's not what I meant. Or this is not what I was doing, like when Chappelle was standing on stage with me." Yang said, "Lauren knows this is what the show is now. I think Lauren has an awareness of it. I think Lauren knows how that it's a reality show." He said Sydney Sweeney was an example of a host who came in and understood how she was being consumed and perceived already. She came in and was like, "Please, everyone, make jokes about my boobs." Jon Stewart, who's not hosting The Daily Show tonight, was on Conan O'Brien's podcast, and he told Conan, "We've created this incredibly eccentric business where you need an agent and a manager and a lawyer, and they're going to take about 60% of what you make, but without them, there's nothing you can do. And you join the studio, and the studio will give you a deal, and you'll sit in your room. It's the most inefficient way." Silicon Valley walked into entertainment in the way that Elon Musk walked into Twitter and went, "How many people work here? 10,000? Make it 2. They go, "Writer's room? Wait, you've got 14 writers and they're with you from start to finish on the production?" Well, it's important for the writers to be invested, and also we're showing them how they're on the page because it's different about the page of the screen. They got to understand how that works and understand how we interact with the props. Amazon and Apple hear those arguments and respond with something like, "They can have 3 weeks and it's got to be on Zoom and you can have 4 of them. I can't function like that." My writer's like, "What?" Conan said, "I'm friends with so many comedy writers. Many comedy writers of my vintage or younger have trouble getting work now. It's changing radically." Stewart said the large tech companies don't believe in institutional knowledge that allows people to grow and get better and create more. As for Apple, I couldn't help them in the way that maybe I had been able to help Comedy Central, but I think in their determination, I could hurt them. The aims of comedy and aims of tech often do not align, and that's when I knew we were in trouble. Wow, very interesting. I haven't listened to that one. I'll add it to my queue. During the SNL premiere, Amazon announced that Colin Jost's Pop Culture Jeopardy will debut December 4th. You'll get 3 new episodes a week on Wednesdays. Bill Hader is developing a comedy pilot for HBO. Untitled Project stars a woman in a small town who has a big secret revealed. And then massive, colossal spoilers for The Simpsons. I didn't even know this happened. I'm going to spoil the heck out of Sunday's episode. I'll go slow here. All right, so I'm gonna give you a minor spoiler in a second, then I'll take a beat, and then I'll majorly spoiler it. Medium spoiler. Okay, you've been warned, all right? Medium spoiler for The Simpsons. They handed in the series finale, but the show's not over yet, all right? That's the headline spoiler. If you want particular details, hang out. Otherwise, you're dismissed. See you tomorrow. All right, more spoilers coming up. You've been warned. Bart's Birthday is The Simpsons' take on what a finale might look like. Inspired by the Season 7 clip show, The Simpsons' 138th episode Spectacular, a great episode, Bart's Birthday is formatted like a hosted special, but instead of showing clips from the past and making up fake ones, Conan O'Brien introduces a brand new AI-written episode designed to be the series finale. The episode within the episode follows Bart as he watches the show's characters go through cliché, over-sentimental finale-type storylines with increasing consternation. Showrunner Matt Selman explained why a finale and said, "When you write for The Simpsons, you get asked a lot about what a finale episode might look like. It's a tricky question. He's worked on the show since 1998. He says it can go on forever because it doesn't have a hard canon or dense continuity. During the 2023 strikes, it hit him. What if we did a fake finale that makes fun of finales, wrapping things up, but then rejects it in a Simpsons-y way? They brainstormed what Fox would actually do if there was a Simpson finale and landed on the idea of a grand star-filled celebration that would serve as a meta-takedown of showbiz self-mythologizing and poke fun at the reverence some fans have a certain era of the show. If you heard Sunday's episode, I pointed out the show hasn't aired in years. Bob's Burgers doesn't exist at all. The Simpsons, I think, stopped in season 9. When's the last time you watched The Simpsons? Come on. Is it even on? Did this finale even exist? In Bart's birthday, Conan O'Brien serves as the host of the finale celebration. Conan, you may know, worked as a writer on The Simpsons for 2 seasons and wrote what is one of the series' all-time episodes, the monorail episode. Don't start me, I'll start singing the song. You never want to be near me if the word monorail comes up. Ask my children. Monorail. Since that represents the show's so-called golden age, the writers were interested in poking fun at that. They roast Conan. Conan delivers jokes like, "It's such an honor to be here for the series finale of The Simpsons. They knew I was right for the job because I've hosted the last episode of 3 of my own shows and counting." Selman says Conan was smart enough and funny enough to know he was 100% the best person to tell the story. All right, what happens to everybody? More spoilers. Principal Skinner announces he's leaving to become the headmaster of a school in Sacramento as a delightful mid-season replacement, adding, "I'll no doubt find a whole new eclectic cast of characters to interact with, and also groundskeeper Willie will be my roommate." That's great. Bittersweet music plays as Skinner says, "I'm going to miss this place while turning off the lights." That's a nod to the Mary Tyler Moore finale. Comic book wife's guy Kamiko gives birth. Mr. Burns dies, first as a prank, then for real. His fortune goes to the power plant staff. Bart attempts to stop Krusty from taping a final show. Selman discusses if they're trolling the audience. Conan in the show jokes, "When the very first episode aired in 1989, viewers agreed on one thing: it wasn't as funny as it used to be." That is your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. They might like it too. If you would like this program without commercial interruption, there's a link in the show notes that'll tell you how that works. Don't forget, I also host the 5 Good News Stories podcast, number 5 Good News Stories. It's 5 stories, and they're all happy stories. See you tomorrow.